Like, you got to interrogate that. Your characters, if you're a writer, your characters need to be interrogating that and figuring out what is it really that's actually going on here. Have you ever been knee deep in a feeling, like a justified feeling, and just not knowing how to move on from it? And I'm not talking about trying to rush past your feelings or anything like that. I'm saying that you have processed, you've interrogated, and because you've done that kind of mental inner work, that's why you're ready to move on from it, but you can't. Like, you are just stuck in that feeling. Like, you've been in that place so long that it feels like all you know. It feels like all you can do. It's the pits. I think that anyone who has been kind of down in the trenches, like when it comes to their mental health, you probably know or know something adjacent to exactly the feeling that I'm talking about. But when it's that, it's kind of a solitary place, like that's just about you. It's not really about anyone else. But when we hit that feeling in the context of a relationship, when it's not just about us anymore, it's almost worse or kind of harder to deal with because now you have another person and their feelings to think about. And I don't even mean, well, I'm not talking to them but I should because my silence might be hurting them or me ignoring them might be hurting them. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about they've done the work to try to, maybe they've done something and they've done the work to try to apologize for us to move past it. And I'm not even really that angry anymore, but I just don't feel like they've been punished enough, or I'm just not ready to be nice to them again, or like that's the stuff that I'm talking about. And that I don't think they've been punished enough. That is whack. It's human, but it's whack. Over a career of almost a decade, I have written about a lot of different characters. And I've gotten a lot of comments, a lot of feedback from readers on the things these characters do, the things that they say, their interactions with each other, these relationships, all that. I've heard a lot. And I've got thoughts about what I've heard, from my opinion on reviews to the way that readers interact with authors, all of that. But for today, I'm going to stick with this observation. Y'all are petty. Y'all are so petty. I think about my heroine, Nubia Perry from Inevitable Seductions. Nubia was like the it girl supermodel. She is like a media mogul, had her own shows, all of that. That's who Nubia is or was or is still. Spoiler alert, Nubia is a breast cancer survivor. She had this relationship that she was in where the guy left, while she was going through her cancer treatments, and she ends up having to have a mastectomy, which is very it's rough on her confidence. Like it's a lot for her to process, understandably. But then along comes Steph Foster, and he adores her. He accepts everything about her. They get together and they're going to have a baby, and then the cancer comes back. She has a reoccurrence of the cancer. And that's scary. That's scary. It's scary for her, but also it's scary for him. And there's this moment when she first tells him about it where he's processing and he's, I don't think I can do this, or I have to figure out if I can do this, something that he's saying that is not it's not him abandoning her. It's not him walking away from her. He is just processing. He's just thinking through it. But that's not how she takes it. She gets very upset because it's triggered these feelings of abandonment from, the other relationship that she was in, and she's not willing to go through that again, understandably. And so for her, it's very break glass in case of emergency, let the walls up or let the walls down, however you want to phrase it, close the gates. Okay, not giving an opportunity for someone to hurt me like this again. She completely shuts down. She completely shuts him out. And despite his kind of constant attempts to reassure her and just talk to her and try to get her to understand that he was just afraid, when that initial reveal of this news happened, he's just trying to figure it out. But she does not want to hear that. She does not want to hear that at all. For months, while she's pregnant with this man's child. And as much as I am here for women's wrongs, at the point you are in a grown-ass relationship and you're calling yourself punishing your partner for not having the reaction that you wanted them to have to like this devastating news, I'm gonna need you to grow up. And I understand that it's not as, especially in this particular scenario, it's not as simple as just grow up. She's justified in her fear. She's justified in her uncertainty. All of those things make sense, but does his fear and uncertainty not make sense too? Like, why is there no room for that? Why is he wrong for needing to process that? Like, did he need to process it with her? Probably not. But in the moment, he's in shock. And I hate when y'all make me defend men. I hate it. I hate it. Because y'all did this to me in Anonymous Acts too. Y'all did this to me in Anonymous Acts too. And the reason that I say y'all is because a lot of y'all in the reviews and in the comments and in the feedback, y'all were very much mad at Steph for being afraid. But back to the point, y'all did this to Chadwick in Anonymous Acts as well. Chad, my hero, this black man, gets arrested unexpectedly in front of his child for murder. Who do they think he's murdered? The heroine's husband. Only he has never even met this woman in real life before. Only ever met her online. Only ever talked to her online. He don't know this woman. And now he's getting arrested for murder. So he's pretty quickly cleared of it because he did not have anything to do with it. And so he gets cleared pretty quickly. Like, that's established soon. But when they actually do meet, like once they actually do come together, he's not nice to her. And it's not even like it's anything over the top. He's just like, nah, I'm good on you. Like, I do not need that drama in my life. I'm a father. I have, I'm trying to build a life and all of that. I don't need that energy. Y'all were mad at him. Y'all were mad at him like he couldn't have died. Y'all were mad at him. He don't get to, he like, oh, well, she's going through a lot and she, all about her. He don't get to be upset about the stuff that he's going through because she going through some other stuff. Now, admittedly, sis was going through. Miss Monica had a lot going on. But that doesn't change the fact that he got arrested for murder. He gets to be mad about that. He gets to be upset about being looped into that. Come on. But y'all like, he's so mean. Oh my God, it wasn't her fault. And it wasn't her fault. But y'all's whole day be ruined because somebody cut you off in traffic. But he don't get mad. He don't get to get mad because he got arrested for murder. And y'all were mad the whole book. He cut off a man's finger for this woman. And y'all were still mad. I was still hearing about it in the reviews. I was still hearing about it in the comments. What do y'all have against letting stuff go with these characters? What is it? What's the problem? You know what I also think back to? Culmination of Everything, Ben and Kyle. Now, Ben knows that Kyle used to be married. He does not know that she is a widower. He thinks that it's just a divorce. And he is an asshole. And because he's an asshole, when they have this kind of moment where they get into it and he's a little drunk and he's jealous because he sees her like talking to someone else, or he makes an ugly comment about her husband not coming home or something like that, which it was ugly. It was ugly for him to say that. But he honestly did not know. He honestly did not know the full tragedy behind it. But Kyle, she smacks him. She leaves. She walks off. And he follows her. He follows her to apologize. He's in the in between time, he's found out the actual truth, and he follows her to apologize and all of that. And he does. He apologizes and he explains that he didn't know, and he underlines his apology with his tongue, as apologies should be. And she's fine. She's fine. Kyle is fine. Kyle is over it. Kyle is very much of the mind that I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be wrapped up in negative feelings. Like, you've apologized. Okay, let's move on. Y'all weren't ready to move on though. Y'all weren't ready to move on though. Y'all were mad. Y'all were mad. And I know y'all were mad because y'all talked to me about it, because y'all tell me about it. Y'all were not ready to move on. Y'all felt like he didn't grovel enough. What is with this groveling thing? Like, I know it's a big deal in romance, but it's just not. I just don't get it. I'm just not there. Like, I truly do not understand dragging out these arguments and disagreements. For what? Again, I am not advocating for having the characters like rush past their feelings, but we're grown. We're grown. If you are bothered about something, and I'm not talking about like these big relationship ending things. Like, I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about these little miscommunications, like little stuff that really should not be relationship ending type stuff. You got to interrogate that. Like, you got to interrogate that. Your characters, if you're a writer, your characters need to be interrogating that and figuring out what is it really that's actually going on here. There needs to be that investigation in order to move past it. And I think that's what we run into a lot of the time. In real life, for any given situation, what it would take to make something right is not always like it's not this uniform thing that everybody is going to agree to. What works for you may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for you. And as readers, we may not be satisfied with the resolution, because if it was us, that wouldn't have worked for us. And so we feel like, well, that wasn't enough, that, he didn't apologize enough, or, that didn't take long enough, because that wouldn't have worked for us. And conversely, when there is a situation of, well, he apologized, it should be over, like, that's our feeling. That's not the character's feeling. That's us. Maybe the character needs roses. Maybe they need time. Maybe they need a billboard. I don't know. But we get frustrated with the character for not doing what we would have done, for not acting as we would have acted. And that's interesting. And I think it's important when you're reading and in real life to be conscious of not projecting you onto everybody else. you're not the main character, babe. Like, I know we do a lot of self-insert when it comes to these novels and all of that. And I think that that can be engaged in a healthy way. But I think it can also be engaged in an unhealthy way that is really not fair to the author. And it's honestly not fair to you as the reader, because you can't enjoy the story for what it is because you're so wrapped up in, well, I wouldn't have done that. But the story is not about you. The story is Ben and Kyle, or Monica and Wick, or Nubia and Steph, or whoever else. And I think to combat that, we have to figure ourselves out in real life so that there doesn't have to be that projection that happens when we're reading, because we figured it out what we need, and we're able to communicate that to our coworkers, our peers, our friends, our partners, and we're heard in those relationships. So we don't have to make those projections onto the characters when we're reading. We have to stop wallowing in our feelings instead of learning from them and figuring them out and using it as information to figure ourselves out. The people around you, your fellow characters, they're not from the pages of a novel. They're not. There's no author who knows exactly the right thing for you and is going to tell those people to say it like it is in these books. No, you're going to have to be able to communicate that for yourself. And you can't communicate it. You can't tell them if you don't know. So we can learn that from books. We can learn that from novels. When I write, my characters tend to do a lot of self-reflection, a lot of introspection. And it's a space that I like to be in with my characters, where they're thinking through their feelings, they're thinking through these interactions. And it's not that they always get it right by any means. It is not that they always get it right. It's not that they can always, that it's, a 5-minute brainstorm and now they've got it figured out. But they're constantly, like, there's a constant investigation of their own feelings, of their own actions, of their of possibilities. And I think that instead of being so chaotic with ourselves, if we, instead of going solely on the emotion and going solely on the what it feels like in the moment, if we stopped and really thought and really did all that deep thinking that people do in these books, I think if we really, really did that in real life, it could change a lot for all of us. All right, that's all for today. Y'all know I will ramble. Hopefully that was not too all over the place, and I was able to organize my thoughts in a way that made sense and also, maybe was entertaining for you as well. Before you come for me about any of your favorite characters that I may have talked about today, or if you disagree with any of my assertions, you should know that I welcome and encourage a tussle and your differing opinions. I definitely simplified some stuff about these characters just for the sake of brevity, but I think that I was still able to kind of make the points. But again, I still also welcome counterpoints and all of that, absolutely. And if there's a certain topic or characters that you want me to get into, please, please, please feel free to leave those suggestions below. And as always, thank you for your support. I'm out. Bye.